Now that we're officially into spring, everything seems to be responding to the consistent warm weather. And it feels good to walk into the garden and see my veggies sprouting. However, one day as I was making my rounds, I noticed that something was eating my flowers and veggie sprouts. Whatever it was had cut off the tops of the marigolds, eaten some leaves on the tomatoes, run through the collards, and definitely liked the loofah sprouts, because that bed was completely empty after 3 rounds of plant, sprout, disappear. I couldn't be sure, but last season looper grasshoppers were the culprits. I previously saw a couple near the side of the house, but never near the garden. But I decided to take no chances and followed my own advice by waiting until the early evening when the bees were not active to put down some diatomaceous earth, or DE, in the marigold beds and especially around the collards. In their early stages, looper grasshoppers are pretty social, so they tend to stick together, which makes attacking them easier. Since I'd seen some near the side of the house, I made a point of putting down DE over the length of that side. Also, previously I put out radishes with the cucumbers to ward off pests, and they seem to be spared. So, the plan is to put radishes in with the loofahs, as well as the summer squash, to help deter pests. I shifted to starting the loofah inside until I could get a handle on the situation. A few days later, I ran into one of the grasshoppers, so my assumption had been correct. But the DE seems to be working because the collards have come back with full leaves, and the marigolds were creating leaves from the chopped stems. It felt safe enough to put out the loofah, as they had once again sprouted. I was taking no chances and put a cover over it that seems to have given them a chance to develop. Speaking of radishes, I've never really liked their taste, but after doing a little research, found that their leaves make good salad greens, and the bulbs turn sweet after a round in the oven. I plan to plant them throughout the season, as they seem to help with pests and are a quick harvest in about 25 to 30 days. My indeterminate tomatoes are also doing well after being attacked, and I have to admit that I love suckers. I let them grow to a good size and then cut them off, put them in water, and in no time they develop roots to create another hardy plant. This way I can rotation plant all through the season from just one plant. And on to the rain barrels. I finally got rain, and the barrels were full. But then I noticed that despite not using any water after the rain, the water level was going down. I discovered that I had a leak coming from the PVC connections. I used two types of bulkheads, metal with gaskets, and the plastic type that I caulked in. To be fair, I didn't use any glue or plumber's tape with the outside connections. Even a small leak can empty a barrel in no time because water is relentless. I only had a 1-day window before the next rain, and then no expected rain for 10 days, so I had to work quickly. I had a devil of a time stopping the small leaks from the plastic bulkheads. I finally was able to seal them by putting on electric tape, almost like a gasket, and then covering that to create a tight seal. Sure enough, the next day when the rain came, I had a tight seal and all the barrels filled without leaks. So, based on my experience, spend a little more and buy the metal bulkhead with the gaskets for fewer headaches. Anyway, by putting in the connections at the bottom, all the barrels fill in parallel, meaning they will rise to the same height. But because the blue barrels are larger, they will hold more than the trash cans at the same height. So, rather than 200 gallons, I'm actually getting around 215. And every drop counts during a dry summer. Another plus is that I can use only one spigot with pretty good pressure from the weight of the water in all the barrels. So now I guess I'm ready to watch the garden grow. See you next time.